I'm Mary Polchaninoff, and welcome to Sure Things. End of summer is drawing closer each day as we head into September. So today's special guest is here to talk to us about those days of opening school. I'd like to welcome Kristina Martineau from Westbrook Public Schools Superintendent. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you? I'm
good. I'm so glad you could make it today.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's such a delight to be here and to be able to talk about our new school year.
I know, and we're thrilled. I'm so curious about going through this today because it's such a great change for everyone to see the kids back at school. For sure, and today was the first day of kids back, and so
it was.
I'm saying how impressed I am that here you are, Monday afternoon with kids back at school, so that's great.
Oh, the energy in the building was just incredible. As the students started to come off the buses and having their parents drop them off, and you feel the excitement and the energy of that new school year. They're excited to see each other. They can't wait to see their teachers. And
I'm so glad you're on because I remember I tried to get you on earlier. We had just started, and those days, I'm just glad we waited for now when it's on the other side.
It's a little more relaxing now.
Right, it is. But now you've been at Westbrook just a short time, right?
Sure, I began December 1st, 2020, so right before the holiday season. So this is my first opening of school in Westbrook.
Oh, so tell us about your background.
Sure. So prior to Westbrook, I worked in Region 4, Chester, Deep River, and Essex. I started there in 2008. I was hired as the associate principal at Valley Regional High School. And then I became the high school principal and then moved up to assistant superintendency. I was in 12 years in Region 4. A wonderful, wonderful tri-town community.
Wow.
And what a wonderful place to grow up as a leader and to experience being a new mom. I had another child when I was working in Region 4 and just an incredible tri-town community.
So you really did have a lot. In fact, I saw on the website that you also have two children that are starting back to school.
So I have a 6th grader and I have a junior in high school. They don't start until next week, so they loved teasing that they were going to roll over and go back to bed.
My mom went off to work. Of course, you've been working. I saw you during the summer as I was doing summer school there, but that was great. So how does it feel going, with all that background experience, going to the elementary school as a principal?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I all of the grade levels, but my background level is primarily secondary, but I had 5 years of experience as an assistant superintendent. But the joys of going into those elementary schools,
it's an
absolute joy.
And as you said, the energy, the energy is incredible. So you came in December, and then of course everything was happening. How was that transition for you? Were you able to rely on others, or
really smooth? So prior to that first day, I felt very welcomed. As soon as I was officially announced toward the end of October, welcomed by community members, by Board of Education members. I had a lot of opportunities to meet parents. We did it virtually. It was a Google Meet extravaganza, probably a good 6 weeks before I started. So that when I started that official first day, I felt like I had already been welcomed and had already started to transition to Westbrook.
Good. So you had that.
It's what I had hoped for, and it was just really amazing to be able to have that confirmed. What an incredible community.
That's wonderful. And it also sounds like from your background that you have a lot of other networking. Like I can imagine the decisions that had to be made as you went along you must have worked with others as well as you made decisions.
Oh, of course. I'm very driven as a servant leader and as a relational leader. So relationships are important. Human beings are important. So my entire career from teaching through leadership positions, it's about bringing the team together and then focusing on what's the best thing for kids. So having those connections, and we're so close. Westbrook to Chester, Deep River, and Essex. Over the years, we've had a lot of regional collaboration where we've worked with Westbrook Public Schools. They've had our teachers come over to Region 4, and Region 4 teachers have also.
Oh, so you do have a lot.
Yeah, we've had some collaborative professional development.
Oh, nice.
And I knew a few other administrators that have moved on to other jobs now that came from Westbrook. So we talk about this area as like just this wonderful regional collaborative team that goes beyond the borders of the towns.
That is wonderful. That's why it's such a small town too, Westbrook. So people do get to know you. And I know last week you were working with teachers for professional development, getting ready to open school, and I'm sure that was great energy there as well.
Oh, I loved having all the staff come back. We had a strong group of staff members that worked all summer. Part of my convocation remarks, when you start putting the hours together, we had almost 60 people working this summer. We had a very robust summer learning academy program, the extended learning program as well. We had a lot of curriculum development, professional development happening.
So you had a lot going on.
So we had a lot of teachers, but then to welcome the rest of them back to then engage in the work that we prepared all summer for them.
Now, as they come back, as they all came back today with the students, what changes are in place for them as they started today?
For our staff members or for the students?
For the students.
For students, changes. Well, new courses. At the secondary level, we really listened last year as we took a look at our programming and what we were offering students and what they wanted to take and where their interests were. So some of our students are taking some new courses. They have an opportunity to take animation 1 and 2 if that's an area they're interested in. We added robotics at the middle and the high school, some coding classes that we had offered prior but were able to bring back this year. There's a new elective sort of program it's not just you pick 1 or 2 classes, but almost like a pre-secondary style that the high school has, where if you think you might want to take Italian, even though we don't have a full Italian program, you can take Italian like conversation to learn some of the basics at the middle school level. So really trying to clue in on where our students' passions and interests, and then also to think about that in the terms of intellectual curiosity for sure, and passion, but also what might they be interested in doing.
I think that's fascinating because, again, as we talk about such a small community, sometimes you wonder, especially at the secondary level, what chances they have, opportunities they have to go outside some of the basic curriculum and expand. So it's interesting to hear that that's going on.
And I would say, Westbrook has like very robust offerings. I mean, it's part of what drew me here is that Westbrook's, the way they do business is about personalizing it. They really focus in on the individual student, and over the years they've been able to maintain these amazing programs. And we're flexible and responsive to the needs when we need to change, but being able to offer a really high quality and comprehensive education that they want to take, right? Not just having the classes that they have to take, but really stepping out and what are some of the other offerings.
Is that something with those programs in the works, or is there something special you think you brought with you that as you came to Westbrook you said, I'd like to try this I'd like to?
Well, I think there was a lot of interest around these programs and courses before I arrived, but part of that entry process before I even walked in the door that first day, and part of the superintendent search process was that the board engaged with the community to find out what do they want to offer, not just what they see in a superintendent, but what do we want as a school community. So I walked in with like all of this wonderful information and then opportunities to talk to students and to talk to the parents. So it's not something I brought, it was something that they had started those conversations as a community. It emerged from our school community, and then just starting to make decisions that would remove obstacles that may have been in place before. And also, as we're able to offer full courses. Last year we were all worried about keeping very large distances in the classrooms that reduce class sizes, and as a result you have to reduce offerings to be able to keep those classes really small. And we were able to open that up this year.
Did they? We had to stay 6 feet apart before. Now, when they come in, is there still a distance that we're recommending in the classroom? 3 feet.
3 feet and masked right now.
And masked right now. And I like to say right now.
We are going to be responsive to changing metrics and what's happening in the state of Connecticut around health conditions.
Right.
But right now, that's part of the executive order.
Sure. And that's the beauty of having that executive order, that everyone can follow the same mandate and have it be consistent for the children as well. What do you say to parents? I'm curious about this. And what do you say to parents that are nervous about their kids starting this year after having such a hybrid year last year? Well, how do you reassure them?
So we didn't have a hybrid year.
No, but I meant,
right? I think in many ways that has eased a lot of the anxiety that maybe some other communities might be experiencing that stayed in a hybrid mode out of necessity. But we were full in the majority of the year.
Of the time, good.
So I think there's this excitement about returning to some sense of normalcy. But if they're anxious about what does the year hold, I think come talk to us.
Okay.
That we're here, and and we want to be able to address those concerns and needs. And again, it's a benefit of this small community that is so focused on families and students that there's a lot that we can do to allay concerns and feel concerns rather, and to make sure that we're meeting their needs.
I just want, as I said, I had heard that from some parents, and I'm not just saying in Westbrook, I'm saying it outside. You know, they wonder with their child going back if their child's going to do okay. And you know, I try to say, of course, teachers are going to meet the students where they are and help them.
We're not going to jump ahead and say, well, you know, it's the beginning of 7th grade, and you're supposed to be here at this benchmark, and you know, that's not who we are. And we're working really hard to meet the students where they are. And you know, we're fortunate there has been a lot of grant money that has given us the resources to be able to unlock anything additional that we might need. So you know, we've been really thoughtful about scheduling, but also making sure that we have enough support. We have an after-school program planned for students who might need a little extra time. We had that summer program very well attended. We had over 150 students, pre-K through 12. That we were able to
and that was the summer academy?
The Summer Learning Academy in our extended school year.
That was wonderful. I mean, and I know that was from some grant money, which was great. I wondered how the funding was going to continue. So I'm glad to hear that you'll be able to actually take that into the school year. And as you said, it sounds like you'll have some after-school support or extra learning for the students, which is great.
And not just the academics. You know, we've written the grant so that enrichment opportunities. So if there are things that students would like to engage in, so that they're not just working on the reading and the writing and the math, but you know, maybe it's an after-school club that helps reconnect students that may have felt isolated from any extended periods of time that they may have been home.
That's amazing. So that's in the works. That's in the works for the
for sure.
For the
but over the summer, we also partnered with Westbrook Park and Recreation, and that was an incredible partnership. We expanded that program so that we were able to, I don't even know the number off the top of my head, but I want to say it was close to 80 students. So they might have the reading and math in the morning, but then be able to access fun summer camp for the rest of the day. They could go to the beach on the beach days. So it was a nice full, all-encompassing program for our community.
It really was, I feel very grateful to have been part of that because, but watching that cooperation, that synergy was best for the students all the way around, and parents. I could tell parents, you know, when they were picking up or dropping off their students, they were appreciative of that too.
And we're very appreciative of the partnership with Richard and Nino. He really stepped in and was willing to do anything that we needed, all in service to our kids and families.
Okay, good. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about Westbrook Public Schools. Be right back.
And Kristina.
Oh, did you see that? Whoa, we scored?
Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
But I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
COVID-19 has changed how we stomp the yard and feel the beat. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it? Is it free?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
Welcome back to Sure Things. I'm here today with Superintendent of Westbrook Public Schools, Kristina Martineau. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So we talked a bit about your background and a bit about getting the schools up and running for this year, which is wonderful. And as I was researching and looking a bit at the website, I noticed that in your letter, your memo to people, you mentioned Portrait of a Graduate.
Yes.
So I wondered if you could tell us more about that.
With great pleasure. Happy to speak about that. So this year we're launching a process, really a community-driven process to create the Westbrook Portrait of a Graduate. So the district already has a wonderful, wonderful vision statement. This is sort of the next level of vision work, where you take that macro conceptual vision and you think about it in really concrete terms. So when you picture your Westbrook graduate, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what are the key skills that they need to be successful wherever they are in career, in service, or in college? And then planning backwards. And there's so many 21st century skills to choose from. So the way to break out of the 20, 30, right, the possible skills, is to think about what are the values and beliefs of the community. So not just what are the skills that our kids need, but what is this community value when they think about educating the students, the children of Westbrook. So that's the starting point and where that community-driven piece is, making sure everyone has the same sort of understanding of 21st century learning skills. So, problem solving, collaborative thinking, flexible thinking, empathy, financial literacy. There are a lot of different skills out there that we talk about. And then you want to sort of laser in on the 4 or 5 that this community thinks are non-negotiable. Above and beyond standardized test scores, above and beyond content and discipline, but content discipline, that is. But what are the skills that we value? And then you build it together, and then you create an image that represents it, and that's just the first layer of it. And then for years to come, it's how do you then measure it? How do you define what student success looks like? And then how do you make sure there are lots of opportunities to demonstrate success, opportunities to continually grow in that area? And it's not just a high school project, right? When you say Westbrook Portrait of a Graduate, oh, that's a high school thing. It's not. I mean, you're thinking about what do our littlest littles need? So it's the graduates of the class of 2022, but also our smallest little Daisy students who are I think it's a class of 2036. Oh my goodness. Because they can do it. If we say as a community, we value flexible thinking or creative thinking, well, what does that look like in preschool? What does that look like in kindergarten? And it begins to become part of our day-to-day.
So that is a huge vision. That sounds amazing. And I understand what you mean by you start with the end in mind, so you're going to start by this. How will you get that kind of information, community feedback?
Right, how do you do it beyond putting out
a survey,
or the airplane with the please see the Westbrook Portrait of a Graduate? You reach out to people and you engage people. So we have a steering committee that's very internal for now, where it's my teacher leaders, my administrators, and we have some teacher volunteers on it. But then you expand it to what we'll call the Westbrook Community Coalition. So you reach out to community leaders and parent groups, and who are the stakeholder representatives that are going to help us. Because if I just send out a survey, a Google form, maybe I'll get 10, 15%, but it's the conversations that are the most powerful. So our plan is we'll send the survey out, but before we do that, we'll send out information so that people understand, what do we mean by critical and creative problem solving? It's not just what do you think the 5 skills should be, but here are the top researched ones, here's what they mean. Let's start to talk about it. So our plan is to have different community events, to have conversations, to send out those surveys, but to have PTO events, to have retreats with our Board of Education where they really dive into that. So that's sort of where we are in the process now, is expanding the community coalition, because then they go out and they'll help us.
So it sounds like it's a multi-year project. Do you have a certain...
So we have a timeline, and I think, yes. Okay. So the whole fall will be about kicking it off, starting those conversations. And our hope is to have a draft by May for a public presentation, and then the board, maybe a final vote by June. And then the second level of work would be that summer, trying to operationalize it so that it isn't empty rhetoric. It isn't that edu-speak that oftentimes that we can be criticized of, like this skill and this skill.
That
it starts to feel real.
Sure. That's very interesting, because then, and as you said earlier, then you have to think about how to measure that. What would it look like and how to measure. And
before you measure it, you have what do the lessons look like? What do the projects and the activities look like? Without it being something that feels separate. It shouldn't replace what we do, but it should become a part of our day-to-day and who we are.
That is awesome. Now, is this a project you've done? Have you had that experience before?
I've had experience with a strategic planning work. So there's definitely a similar systems thinking. It's about coherence for a system and pulling it all together, and that's typical, very much a vision process.
I'm very excited that you're talking about it on the show, because I do feel like we're right at the start of it, and we get the word out there that Westbrook's going to be doing this, schools are doing this amazing, I don't want to call it a project, because it really isn't. It's really finding a focus. And
it's a community-driven vision process, and I mean that in every way possible. Families that maybe their students graduated years ago, they have so much to offer us about their students beyond graduation, or our residents in town that may not have children in the district and may have raised them in another town, or don't have children at all, but they have so much life experience that will influence and again, like pulling everybody together. So it's really exciting.
That's fascinating.
And we're hoping we get to do some of it in person. And not all through Google Meet. I think it's important for us as much as possible.
I think so when you talk about those conversations. So you would say that sounds like one of your biggest goals when you talk about like the next 5 years. That's incorporating.
It will drive everything we do.
It'll drive
because it's not what I do, it's what we decide is most important for the community of Westbrook and for the children and family of Westbrooks. And then we have to decide, what does that look like in year 2, in 3, and then continually look at it. Like, we thought maybe flexible thinking was it, but it's really flexible and creative thinking. Constantly looking at that.
Yeah, so you would always be looking at that for goals, and it sounds like an amazing project. I was wondering too about enrollment in Westbrook, because years ago we heard it was going down and it's going up, whatever. What does it look like now for enrollment and projected if you look ahead into?
It's very stable. It's very
stable.
Westbrook, just like many schools and districts in this area, they go through cycles, and it's a very traditional enrollment cycle here, just as we're experiencing across the shoreline.
Yeah, so it's pretty stable that way.
It's pretty stable.
And our graduates, our students that are graduating, when they go on for their post-secondary education, do you notice any challenges or that they face as they go out into the world that might have to be addressed?
Well, and I think that's a piece of the Westbrook Portrait for Graduate, right?
Yeah.
It's that's a good one. Like, what do I think challenges? I think being flexible and responsive, because we don't know with so many of the outside influences currently. We're in a mode, I think, of school that looks different, not just for us pre-K-12, but college looks different right now.
Does. That's so true.
So I think it's a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to be adaptable and flexible.
I know. Does Westbrook do they have internships or student volunteer opportunities?
We do. We have both.
You have both.
We both. This year's the first official year we really launched the College and Career Pathways program, and that's something the district's been working on for a long time. So if you look on our website, we have this program of studies that maps out. So it's not just here are your graduation requirements, but if you're interested in law or construction management, or any of the possible careers in this, retail management, health services, there's a plan. There's a plan of study that recommends you have these basic courses that you need to take that are required, but here are some of the electives you should think about. And then by the time you get to junior and senior year, here are our local partners where you would learn more in a real world setting about what that looks like, and then you can decide, is this for me? Like when you're actually applying those skills and you're in that internship. We have Leslie Carson, she's our College and Career Coordinator. She's been with us for a few years now, and she's in charge of those internships, job shadowing. It's certainly, there's a challenge with the current health conditions, how much of that we can do in person, but we're hoping by the spring that will open up again. And our hope is that every graduate of Westbrook will have an opportunity to participate in an internship before they graduate.
That is wonderful. And sports are all on? Are we all set with sports?
All on.
So people can go out and watch a football game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
that's
all
good
of the
to
sports,
know.
not just football, but soccer, everything's on.
You must be so happy about
Very.
that. We all are.
Very.
Believe me, we all are.
Because that's the time when you really see the kids enjoying themselves outside in another area of interest, not just the academics and you meet their families and you get that full community feel when you get to see them outside.
Well, I know that. I know that Westbrook's very happy to have you. I know
thank you. Very happy to be here.
And I heard it was a great start with teachers, the energy and the positivity and just being ready. Everyone sounded very upbeat about it, so that was great.
Excellent.
And I know that translates into the schools.
It sure does.
Really
There's an energy level. Everyone's back and excited, and we're ready to go. We're going to have the best year yet.
Great.
I'm going to say that every year. The best year yet. It's we keep getting better.
That's right. That's right. Now, if somebody had a question for you, is the best way to contact you through the website, just through your email?
There are a couple of ways. They can email me directly.
Yep.
They can call central office and talk to Cecilia, my assistant, and she will set up a time for us to meet one-on-one if it's more than a phone call. But absolutely, anytime.
Okay, good. Well, I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
And perhaps you can come back later in the year.
I would love
and
that.
give us an update on how it's going.
Oh, there's so many exciting things that we would love to report back on.
Yeah, I know we have just touched on a bit of it.
For sure. Well, thank
you. Thank you for tuning in today. Please send any feedback or questions you have for me to surethingsct.gmail. Until next time, take care.